Some of you guys may have seen the commercials for Beadle and Grimm's Character Chronicles for Pathfinder 2e. Well, they sent me 2 books. The Fighter one and the Wizard one. So today I'm going to be reviewing both of these so you guys can make an informed decision as to whether you want to pick them up or not. Let's get started. So Fighter is the one I really want to look at, so I'm going to start with Wizard and move on from there. So, when I got these books, the first thing I noticed was these bookmarks. I know, small detail, but a lot of companies wouldn't include something like this. Something small like this, but huge. Think about it. You've got a spell or a feat that you never remember what it does, but you use a lot. Boom. Mark it with this, and you can go straight to it. Fantastic. Small detail, but huge. Now, getting into the book itself, I do notice that you can write in this book in pencil and erase it. Which means these books are reusable. Which is fantastic. Secondly, this first page is huge for a backstory. You've got your name, your place of date of birth, ancestry and gender, the conditions of your birth. Did your character inherit any quests? Did they inherit any magical items? Is your family cursed? Who were you raised by? All huge. This is a way to set up a backstory. And I already love that. If the rest of this book is anything like what I've seen so far, I'm definitely going to be recommending these books at the end of this video. Then we get into the character sheet. First off, right off the bat, I want to say I love the fact that the spell attack roll is here rather than with the spells like the normal character sheets. That's huge. Secondly, I love how this page right here is laid out. You've got your character name, your player name, your background, your strength dex, all your ability scores, saving throws and DCs, and your skills, all on one page. That's fantastic, and all of your attacks, boots. All this is big. Then we get to the second page, which is your Arcane School, your spell slots, your Arcane Thesis, your focus spells, and your spells prepared. Fantastic the way they set this up. I love this. It's great. They even have a thing for components of spells under your focus spells. Huge. I love this book so far. Then we come to the equipment page, which I like a lot. First of all, you've got your armor and your weapons. And they've got bulk, potency runes, whether they're invested or not, and then your striking or resilient rune. As well as plenty of room for properties. As well as any other worn items you're wearing. And plenty of room for consumables. Fantastic. This is great. Then we come to the inventory section of the character sheet. We've got your coins, copper, silver, gold, platinum, the location and amount of any stored coins. Then you've got your supplies section, which is your rations, water, amount of rope, torches, and ammunition. Then I really want to talk about the holdings and assets. I was once in a campaign where the fighter had a house that we used as our home base. This is where you would put that. That is fantastic. I love that they included this. Then we have your gems and art objects. In other words, things that are worth money, but that's about it. Your permanent items. I do wish they would have put a little bit more room for permanent items. You can get a lot of permanent items in Pathfinder. And this is almost enough, but I think they could have done a little bit more. And then we have our loot section, which is just everything we get in our adventure. That's great. Again, other than the permanent items, this page is great. Now it's time to talk about the feats and abilities section. First off, I love how they just give you how many spells you get at each level. Just straight up in the feats and abilities section. Huge. If you were going through the core rulebook, you'd have to go to a completely different page to get this. But in this book, it's right here. Fantastic. Then we've got your wizard abilities, your wizard class features. Those are amazing because they give you everything you need to know, but they made it short at the same time. Which is great. Then you've got plenty of room for your feats as well. Oh yeah, these two pages are just great. Character sheet for this is fantastic. I love the frequent summons pages. Right here. Yes. These right here are going to make GM jobs so much easier. Let's say you're a conjuration wizard, or you have some summons you want to use. Put their stats right here. Boom. 4 of them right here. Yep. Fantastic. It's got everything you could possibly need for a summon. It's HP, it's AC, saving throws, ability scores, abilities, attacks. Oh yeah. All of that, boom. Fantastic. And then we have the familiars page. I gotta say, I love it just as much as the frequent summons page. Everything you could possibly want for your familiars here. Saving throws, armor class, hit points, skills, perception, active abilities. Plenty of room for master and familiar abilities. The only thing I don't understand is the familiar items section. I don't think there are any items that familiars can use, so why this is here, I have no idea. It's even got a slot for drawing out your familiar, which is awesome. Now let's talk about the spellbook pages. So right off the bat, I love the fact that they added a section for your meta magic feats. 4 sections for that is plenty. Then your rituals that you know. And then I do like how they set up each of these entries for your spells. You got your spell, your to hit, and your your DC, your effect, your range, area, target, the heightened level, and your level. However, then we come to the problem I have with this section. I don't think there is enough pages for spells, especially the low level spells. If I'm playing a wizard, I'm picking up as many scrolls as I possibly can and writing them in my book. Period. Yes. And the thing is that this is your spell book. There isn't enough room in the spell book in this book for all the spells. There are a ton of low level spells. Once you get to around level 7, that's when this is fine, I think. Once you get to around level 7 spells, 1 page is fine. Because there aren't as many of those. But first level spells, there should be a lot more pages. First level spells. There are a ton. Even just on the arcane list. There should be like 3 pages for first, second, third, fourth. And like 2 for 5th and 6th. Yeah, I do think there isn't enough room. I think this is fine for a class like Sorcerer, who doesn't have as many spells to work with. But a class like Wizard or Witch, there needs to be more. There needs to be more room. Especially low-level spells. There is a additional spells section But the problem I have with that is there's no level section. Yeah, they set it up just like how they set up the level spells earlier. And not having a level for those is fine because they have a 9th level spells or whatever heading. But here they need to put a level. If they put a level here, I'm fine with this. But since they don't, that's the only problem I have with the spell section. Except we have the Archetypes section. Pretty basic. You've got your archetype, your dedication feat, and then all your feats up to 12th level. Now, see, that's a problem. Because I personally think they should have added 14th, 16th, 18th, and 20th level feats for your archetype. You may just want to stick with one archetype. I mean, it's great that they have multiple archetypes here, multiple places for archetypes, but I do think they should have put just one. Yeah, I do think they should have done more, just in case you only want to stick with one archetype. I mean, a lot of my teamwork builds only stick with one archetype. My gunslinger video, for example, that one only stuck with the sniper duo archetype for the free archetype. So, you can check out that video up in the card. And next is the Feats and Abilities section. And while I do like how it's set up, with plenty of room for you to write down what all your feats do, again, I have a problem with the number of pages. Yes, there's only one page for Feats and Abilities, which, personally, if I'm using this book, I want to put all my feats here. That way I know exactly what they do and everything. Not near enough pages. There needs to be at least 2 pages here, maybe even 3. I think 4 is too much, but at least 2, maybe 3. Then we come to the leadership pages. First of all, tons of room for followers. That same fire that I talked about earlier that had the house that we used as our home base had a bunch of followers. So this is where he put them. And then we've got events that happened. Maybe this is how he got all of his followers. So on and so forth. Great. Absolutely great. Next is the 4 pages we've got for Pathfinder Society. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Pathfinder Society, but I'm glad they included this. Because I know a lot of people love to play Pathfinder Society. So, this is all your Pathfinder Society stuff. It's fantastic. And then the last section of this character sheet is just your important people, your important places, and your important quests. Overall, I'd say very good if you want to take notes, but pretty basic. Then we come to the rules and reference section, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but basically it's got everything you need to know when it comes to playing a wizard. Class features, feats, how familiars work, how the spells work, recall knowledge, everything. It's great. It's even got Pathfinder Society familiars. Oh, and it's also got every single school spell for wizards, as well as some selected recommended archetypes, like Archaeologist and Familiar Master. It's great. And the last section of this book, besides the journal, which is pretty basic, just blank pages, is the spells. I love the fact that they color-coded every single school of magic. If you're specialized in illusion, you can tell exactly which spells are illusion. Very easily, which is huge for a wizard. Especially a specialized one. Yeah, this is great. And then we come to the full spell description. They took all the arcane spells from the core rulebook and the advanced player's guide, put them in alphabetical order, and made the traits really easy to see. And then they basically just copied the descriptions from the core rulebook and the advanced player's guide right here. But they made the traits incredibly easy to see, which is amazing, especially for the schools of magic for the wizard. Because like I said before, if you're specialized in transmutation, you can tell exactly which spells are transmutation. Before I give my opinion on the wizard book, I do want to talk about one thing, and that's these grids. I do like how they added these grids to the journal, because now you can draw maps of important dungeons, which is huge, especially for an intelligence-based class like wizard. I did look at the fighter book off screen, and I gotta say, the character sheet section is pretty much the same. The only difference is, instead of a big spell section, they've got a big feats and abilities section, which I understand why, but I do think that 4 pages for feats and abilities is a little too much. Personally, I don't think I'd ever use the 4th page, but I know some people might because of combat flexibility, but me, no, I'm not going to use that 4th page, so I think it's too much. And of course, in the rules section, you've got all your fighter stuff, fighter feats and abilities, all that. Skill feats, just like the wizard. But then we get to the archetypes. There are different archetypes here, but I wish they would have added the Eldritch Archer to it. I do think Eldritch Archer is an amazing archetype for fighters, and they should have added it. Other than that, instead of focusing on spells, they focus a lot more on combat, which I totally understand because wizards aren't going to need to know much about combat at all. They're going to be back casting spells. So of course fighters going to focus a lot more on combat. And the last difference between the fighter book and the wizard book is that instead of a big spell section, which wouldn't make sense, we've got a big equipment section, which has your armor, your shields, and your weapons, including basic and magical. And that includes your potency, resilient, and striking runes, as well as specific items and gear. It's fantastic. Makes a lot of sense for a fighter to have an equipment section there. They even have a section about how all that stuff works too, so it's very new player friendly. So overall, I gotta give these books a 9 out of 10. They're fantastic. Sure, they have their problems, but what doesn't these days? I just wish they would have sent me the rogue book. To be honest, that's my favorite class, and I probably could have gone into more detail on that. But I happen to know that other creators have also received books. So, if you're interested in their opinion on stuff, definitely keep an eye out for those videos. Specifically, I know that the local disaster tour guide got the rogue book. Not sure when exactly he's going to have that video up, but keep an eye out for him if you're interested in the rogue book. His link is down in the description. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more Pathfinder 1 and 2e teamwork content. You can also check out my links in the description below. And remember, teamwork is vital, and I'll see you guys next time.